Welcome to Echoes of History. Imagine June 30th, 1908. Deep within the untouched boreal forests of Siberia, near the Podkamenaya Tunguska River, a silent apocalypse unfolded. At 7:17 a.m. local time, an object traveling faster than sound entered Earth's atmosphere. Minutes later, a blinding flash illuminated the sky, followed by an explosion so colossal it registered globally, flattening over 2,000 square kilometers of pristine forest, an area the size of a major modern city. This explosion released energy estimated to be 1,000 times greater than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Yet astonishingly, it left behind no crater, no fragments, and no definitive answers. This is the Tunguska event, a historical catastrophe where the evidence literally vanished into thin air. Today we move beyond sensationalism. Our ruthless, unbiased analysis applies the principles of atmospheric physics and historical chronology to this enduring mystery, seeking to understand not what caused the blast, but how a force of this magnitude could strike the Earth without leaving a trace, and what lessons this silent warning holds for our future. The Tunguska event occurred in one of the most remote, sparsely populated regions on Earth, inhabited primarily by the nomadic Evenki people. This isolation is the reason the event remained a mere scientific curiosity for 2 decades, but it also preserved the immediate, chilling testimony of those who survived. Eyewitness accounts collected decades later paint a terrifying picture. People living dozens of miles from the blast center describe seeing a pillar of fire ascend into the sky, followed by a light so intense it caused severe burns and momentary blindness. Following this illumination came a massive seismic shockwave that shattered windows 40 miles away and knocked people violently from their feet over 400 miles away. The impact was registered globally. Seismographs as far away as Irkutsk and Jena, Germany, recorded the resulting tremors, confirming a large-scale event. Furthermore, unusual atmospheric phenomena, known as bright nights, were observed across Europe and Asia for several days. These were skies so luminous, likely due to suspended dust particles high in the stratosphere, that people in London could read a newspaper outdoors at midnight without artificial light. These accounts collectively confirm a colossal atmospheric disturbance. The essential question, however, was not the size of the event, but the source. Where was the weapon? Where was the impact site? Where was the debris? The scientific world did not investigate the Tunguska event until 1927, 19 years after the blast. The first expedition was led by the Soviet mineralogist Leonid Kulik, who had dedicated years to studying meteorites. Kulik's expectation was simple. Where there is a massive explosion, there must be a crater, and where there is a crater, there must be metallic fragments. What Kulik found, however, shocked the scientific community and immediately deepened the mystery. Kulik and his team encountered an epic, eerie landscape, a circular area of devastation stretching over 2,150 square kilometers, where an estimated 80 million trees lay completely flattened. The trees were not merely uprooted, they lay pointing radially outward from a central point, like spokes on a massive, chaotic wheel. Yet at the epicenter of this immense devastation there was no crater. There was a swampy area and some scorched earth, but no deep penetrating hole associated with a conventional meteorite impact. Furthermore, despite years of meticulous searching and excavation in the central swamp, Kulik failed to recover any significant undeniable metallic or stony fragments associated with a meteorite. The very object that caused the explosion seemed to have vanished completely. This absence of evidence is the central, unyielding puzzle of Tunguska. If a colossal stony or metallic body struck the Earth, the laws of physics demand a crater and resulting fragments. The failure to find either fundamentally challenged the traditional understanding of a cosmic impact. The lack of a crater provided the crucial clue that allowed science to eventually construct the most realistic and plausible theory, the airburst hypothesis. This theory has evolved over decades and is now widely accepted by the astronomical community as the only model that aligns with the known forensic facts. The airburst hypothesis posits that the object, likely a relatively small asteroid or more probably a fragment from an icy comet, did not survive its passage through Earth's atmosphere. The physics behind this destruction is simple and terrifying. The object, traveling at hypersonic speeds, entered the atmosphere, causing intense friction that led to rapid heating. Due to its immense speed and potentially fragile composition, the object reached a critical pressure and temperature point. It did not hit the ground. It exploded violently high in the atmosphere, likely between 5 to 10 kilometers, 3 to 6 miles above the surface. This high-altitude explosion generated a massive spherical shockwave, a superheated blast of compressed air. This powerful wave traveled rapidly downward, striking the forest floor and causing the devastating radial pattern of felling. The trees were pushed down, not uprooted, a pattern perfectly consistent with a powerful aerial blast. Modern modeling suggests the energy released was equivalent to between 10 and 15 megatons of TNT. This vast energy was dissipated over a wide area, explaining the scale of the damage. Crucially, because the object vaporized completely before impact, there was no significant mass left to form a crater or large fragments. The small remaining dust would have been widely dispersed into the atmosphere. The strongest current variant of the airburst hypothesis favors a comet fragment composed primarily of frozen water and volatile gases over a rocky asteroid. The fragile, icy composition of a comet explains precisely why the object would disintegrate so completely and leave virtually no metallic residue for Kulik to find decades later. The persistent lack of a definitive smoking gun has, predictably, created a vacuum filled by more exotic, less scientific theories. For Echoes of History, it is critical to address these theories with the same ruthless, skeptical analysis we apply to all historical mysteries. One persistent suggestion is the mini black hole hypothesis, which proposes the event was caused by a microscopic black hole passing through the Earth. However, if a black hole passed through the Earth, it would have created observable entry and exit wounds, causing seismic disruptions far greater than those observed. Furthermore, it would likely cause noticeable seismic tremors on the opposite side of the planet, none of which were detected, rendering this theory fundamentally incompatible with established physical laws and observation. Similarly, the antimatter hypothesis posits that a piece of antimatter collided with normal matter high in the atmosphere, causing a massive annihilation explosion. While an antimatter explosion would certainly release enormous energy, it would produce large amounts of gamma rays and X-rays, leaving traceable isotopic signatures in the environment. Exhaustive searches for these isotopic markers have failed to yield conclusive evidence, proving this theory highly improbable. Finally, the most sensational claim involves the Nikola Tesla connection, suggesting the event was a result of Tesla's famous energy experiments. The flaw here is technological and historical. Tesla's technology at the time simply lacked the necessary power output to deliver a 10 to 15 megaton destructive force across thousands of miles. This theory, like the others, is historically and technologically infeasible and represents a classic case of linking an unrelated, eccentric figure to a global mystery. The unbiased conclusion remains clear. The airburst hypothesis is the only theory that successfully integrates all the confirmed facts: the radial felling pattern, the powerful shockwave, the seismic record, and most crucially, the complete absence of a crater. The Tunguska event is more than just a historical mystery, it is a profound cosmological warning. The terrifying realistic truth is that such an event, even if originating from a small icy comet, represents a catastrophic threat. Had the object arrived just 4 hours and 47 minutes later, the Earth's rotation would have placed the Siberian blast over St. Petersburg, Russia, or potentially even over a major European capital. The resulting devastation would have drastically altered 20th century history. Echoes of History concludes that the lack of evidence is the evidence itself. Tunguska was not a complex conspiracy but a simple, terrifying demonstration of the unpredictable power of cosmic physics. It confirms the necessity of continued global vigilance and the rigorous application of science to understand the forces that quietly shape or threaten to end our civilization. If you appreciate this objective, scientific analysis of historical mysteries, please like this video, subscribe to Echoes of History, and let us know what cosmic threat we should analyze next.